Hello everyone, welcome to Art and Soul. If you've been here before, welcome back. So today the project we're going to be working on is preservation of flowers in baby oil in a jar, okay? So if you have some dried flowers, things like that, maybe from some important events, anything from prom to a wedding, anything like that. You can dry these flowers out and then we can put them in this little jar and preserve them in oil. So what you're gonna notice is I have a combination of dried flowers over here. This is what you should be using, okay? You can get really pretty dried flowers, a lot of them easily on Amazon. You can also, as I mentioned before, if you have your own, especially if it's from an important event, something that you want to memorialize, you can dry those flowers out as well. The other flowers you're gonna see here are fresher, live flowers that we're gonna use for this project, mostly for aesthetics because it'll be pretty, but this is not what you wanna do for this project. So do as I say, not as I do. Stick to dried flowers when you're gonna be preserving in oil. I just thought these would be kind of pretty and would, demonstrate what we're doing in the video. And if you do have roses like this, you can dry them out. You can hang them upside down to dry. Other people will also use silica gel to dry your flowers out that way as well. So you've got some options with that if you don't want to have them flattened and pressed like these are. Okay. The other items that we have, obviously we got our baby oil over here, candles for vibes. We've got marbles as well if you want to put something in the bottom. I have a couple little glittery hearts over here just because I think these are kind of cute. They might float around in the oil nicely. Sometimes you can get these with a sticky back on them, so if you want to stick them back to back so that no matter what side you see them from, they're going to be sparkly. You could do that. And some glitter for fun and washi tape. Okay, that's just going to go around the top band of this bottle just to decorate it. And the last thing that I'm going to do to seal this off at the end is letter wax. So we can melt this on here and do a nice little stamp impression. So today we're going to be using a bee. So let's go ahead and get going. So I'm actually going to start with the marbles first, and a skewer is also going to be helpful for moving things around and getting things into position before you add the oil in. So now we're going to start putting in our dried flowers. So you'll notice for this project, I'm using a very narrow opening. You don't have to do that. This project will be easier if you have a wider jar. But I like the way this looks, and I know that I can push these together just enough to get them down through the opening, and then they'll spring back open by the time I get them to the bottom. The most important thing with this is as you finish, you're going to want to make sure that you have a jar with a lid. Last thing we want to do is have cats or toddlers or whatever happens to run feral through your home knocking your flowers and your oil everywhere. Have a little bit of breakage as you slide these pieces into place. That's okay. You're probably not going to notice that much of it at the bottom. The big thing is to just go slow and don't rush. But for the most part, we'll see how it folds in on itself. So if you do that gently, you shouldn't have a big problem. getting everything down there into place, where it requires a little bit of patience. And moving these pieces around again, it just requires some patience. Stuff will get caught on each other. It's not going to be the end of the world. You will also still be able to move things around a little bit once you have oil in here. So if things aren't exactly where you want them to be placed, you still have another second shot before you actually seal up your jar. And if you need to, you're allowed to curse. Do whatever it takes to help soothe yourself. And that looks different for every person. There is no judgment here. All right, so now that I've got all of the background pieces in place, I have everything pretty much where I want it to be. I'm gonna add in my final bigger flowers. Again, these are the ones that I'm putting in live because I think it'll look nice. It'll look good on camera. You guys will have a really good idea of what the project is. However, this is temporary. These are gonna start decaying after a couple days in this oil. So for you guys at home, if you want this to last, don't use fresh flowers. Always stick to the dried stuff. I'm gonna pull off a few petals to put in. If you wanted to have a look of fresh flowers like this in the oil, you can always swap out these for like fake flowers. Go to Michael's or someplace like that, and they'll have faux flowers that will give you that look of like, ooh, nice, fresh, pretty flowers. And then you still get around the problem of having things deteriorating in oil. So you can also use that option to achieve like a fresh flowers look. Okay, so I'm gonna put our tiny little rosebud in here. This is where we're positioning things as best we can before the oil goes in, but as you're adding in oil, things are gonna move around and float and drift a little bit too, so. Again, I'm using fresh flowers, breaking all the rules. So what I'm doing is just removing these excess petals on the edges to get my flower down to a size that will actually fit through the opening of this bottle. Now we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna add a little bit of glitter for fun. So I just have a super fine iridescent glitter for this. And then I also have a tiny little packet of a kind of pinkish, super fine glitter as well. I know that this is the part where for a lot of people, it gets a little bit tacky, but you know, for those of you that it speaks to, just keep hanging out. I'm not gonna do a whole lot of this, because I also don't know how it's gonna look, but it feels fun, so we're gonna try it. You're gonna notice that this channel is particularly glitter positive. Okay. So before I go pouring in oil, I want to show you what we've got happening right now. I don't want to move this around a whole lot, but we have our little marbles in the bottom, we have some glitter in the bottom, and we have our arrangement of flowers in here. Again, if you like the fresh flower look, but you don't want to have to pour this out because it's decaying, just stick to fake flowers instead, okay? So this is where we get our baby oil. Try to get something that doesn't have like aloe or anything like that else in there. I don't know that it would actually make a difference, but I just wanted to stick with straight baby oil. And be prepared to, you know, make a mess as well. You will still be able to use a skewer to move everything around. Yeah, don't get worried if you see bubbles forming as you're filling this up. They're gonna all rise to the top anyway. I'm gonna see if I can get some of the petals up into the neck of the jar. Now these, because the bottom of this vase is bigger, things are moving around a little bit more. If you want something where your arrangement stays exactly set the way you had it, you can use a narrower jar where there's less room for things to move, and keep things in place. You can also use a smaller round jar as well. So, and the more you pack the jar in with flowers, the more things will hold each other in place. So let me go ahead, and for this, I'm sealing this with just a little cork that fits into the top of this jar. That way, nothing is moving around. Okay, so far, here's what we have. And I'm not worried about things staying put, so I'm just going ahead and turning this. But even with me turning it, I'm not really getting a ton of movement from the pieces in the jar. The marbles are really what's doing the most. Okay, but obviously, like with anything else that's suspended in liquid, if you shake this around, things are gonna move. Same thing as like shaking up salad dressing. Okay, so now this is the part where we make it decorative and pretty. So this is where you can make it into a gift for someone as well. So if you've got friends that are getting engaged, you know, wedding stuff, baby showers, all those important life events that you want to be able to participate in, this would be a perfect gift for something like that, even if you just collect flowers at the event and then give it as a gift later. So I think I gotta decide if I want to do green or if I want to do the pink. What do you think? The pink. Okay. So this is where we're gonna do some sealing wax. I'll probably wait until the end actually on this. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, and I didn't use any of these hearts. I kind of thought better of it, but you could do something like that if you wanted to as well. So what I'm actually gonna jump ahead to is washi tape. Everybody loves this stuff. So I have 3 different ones here. What I'm doing is just matching the color scheme of the tapes onto the bottle. So you can put this anywhere you want to. I'm gonna go higher around the neck of the bottle, and then you could even do something here in the middle too. Because I'm using a pink wax, I'm gonna use a green tape. That way I get a little bit more contrast. You could also do a nice little ribbon wrap at the top of the bottle too, especially if you're wanting to hide the cork or something like that. So if you are using a bottle with a cork and you don't want that to be as visible, this can be a way to get around that. I'm gonna do a couple layers with this at the top. If you need to stop and measure this to make sure that you're getting your washi tape on straight, go for it. I'm the kind of person who likes to eyeball things because ADHD and impatience. And I'm gonna go in now with a fine little gold piece. And one way that you can do this to get a nice flat line without really having to measure is just hold the washi tape in your hand and put one finger down in the middle so that that sets your height. Don't move that finger off the table. And then as you're peeling this and rolling it around something, it's staying at roughly the same height the whole time. That way you don't have to stop and measure and stop and measure. It might not be perfect, but it'll be pretty dang close. Now, if you've also got a lid like this that you don't really like, don't want that harsh color on there, you can also take wax and melt that all over the top as well, so that that whole thing will be sealed and hidden in wax. What we're gonna do right now is we're just gonna put the wax seal right over the place where these washi tapes are connecting. That way we're hiding those seams. So we're using fire, be careful. And we are also doing this on a surface that's not flat. This bottle, as this is burning too, go ahead and make sure if you're using this, that your stamp is in an upright position, so that all you have to do is lift and stamp for it to be in the correct spot. You don't want to have to be fiddling with positioning your stamp while your wax is drying, because you get about 10 precious seconds. I'm not on a flat surface. Having to roll the wax, or roll the stamp into the wax. All right, the bee's on there. He made it. Might be hard for you guys to see, but we do have the bee in there in the wax. Okay. Sometimes you can also find a wax, like a faux wax sticker that's a little bit more flexible if you want to use that instead, if you don't want to have these drips on the side. But you can also go back in and melt a little bit more wax over these edges if you want to. All in all, this is our project for today. We've got glitter in the bottom. Again, for the look of real flowers, just use faux flowers instead. If you want to use real flowers, if it's from a event or something like that, you can just dry the flowers first. Okay, so that pretty much sums up our project. I hope you guys enjoyed and had fun following along, and we will see you next time.